Hello friends, and welcome to Cataclysm, Dark Days Ahead. This is Mindless Max, welcoming you to my first teaser video, my first explanation video. I finally received my first genuine comment on one of my videos from, at the time, they were named Space Noises. By the end of today, they've changed their name to Space Guitar Moose, both of which I think are absolutely fantastic names. I'd never be able to come with that myself, but that's just great. I just have this complete mental image of either a moose playing a guitar in space, or no, pretty much just that. And it just makes me laugh. And I thank you very much for that. That is just, it made my day getting that comment. So thank you once again. You did ask for me to change the font because it was difficult to read over the phone, and I can understand that. It was difficult for me to read it on my computer screen, full screen. I mean, for people watching it on cell phone, which I often do, I let my son watch it because he uses it as story time, and it helps him go to sleep. He has sleep issues, much like his father, actually. It's trying to read it on that tiny little screen is basically impossible, no matter how close you really hold it to your face. So if I wasn't constantly saying everything I was doing, it pretty much it would just all fade away. So what I have done is I have switched everything over to using a Franklin Gothic Demi Condensed. And you can actually see that already here on my startup screen. It already looks quite a bit different. I've also altered the size of the squares that it uses for the text and everything. Altered the size of the screen it's using, even when it's in full screen. And if I load up my Tweakerville... No, sorry, there we go. That's what I want. To Edward Kings, aka Muddy. My current tweaker, I'm running through it. There's a reason I use that name for it. This is just my little test world. I've never had a tweaker manage to live beyond, I think, the first week or so. So I keep trying at it. And here he is currently. He's inside his little evacuation shelter he's run back to. Now, you already can see over here on the right side of the screen, I've moved some of this around, removed some things I didn't need. What did I remove? I removed the hint, which just tells you how to open this in the first place. I removed the vehicle because if I want to see how much gas it has, I usually check it anyway. I don't even look at that on there. I removed the weapon because I'm usually pretty up to date on what weapon I'm currently holding. The stats I removed because to me it's somewhat pointless having it on there constantly. It tells us what our pain is, and I know that's going to lower our stats as well as various other effects. So, and I can constantly check by opening up our character sheet to see what exactly is currently going on. On top of that, what else did I do? I put the moon back on and shifted things around so that the location is now above the limbs, which also puts the little far distant mini-map up here outside of it. I've decreased this maximum size of the map below. I've debated about removing the compass, but I use that to tell when things have noticed me and what direction they're going to be running at me from. So I didn't want to do that. But because of these changes, it actually opened up a good chunk of the actual log here, because otherwise I would have 2 or 3 lines, which wasn't very helpful. It was very easy to miss things that were going on. Another note is I'm using Cooper Black for the overmap, which I think just looks absolutely great. I was going to use Cooper Black for the entire text, but as you can see over here, Franklin Gothic, you compare it to the Cooper Black, and it just ended up so fat. The text was so fat that it basically became illegible again. So that wasn't a good step forward. You also asked whether or not I could use the Undead People tile set. I am technically using a past version of that. I know he's still updating it on GitHub, but I have said this in past videos, and he has gotten himself removed from the Cataclysm community, and I've mentioned this in my response to you, and I'm just hesitant to use things that weren't included on there. There is some apparently copyright infringement to some of the sprites in this set, which I'm not particularly thrilled about. So I'm working on making my own sprite set. It's just very slow because I am a little bit of a perfectionist and I'm not artistic. I've never been artistically trained. I don't think I've taken art since I was 14, something like that. The little bits I do on my splash pages for the start of the videos, those are entirely just freehand drawings I do in MS Paint. Even my little Mindless Max icon down in here with the exploding head, that's just something I came up with on my own. It's just little doodles I enjoy doing. So there might be, eventually my videos will be entirely in my own particular art style, which will be great for me. I'm not sure how much everybody else will like it. But yes, this is just my teaser video for what these, my Cataclysm will eventually look like. So here we are at the text. I hope it is more visible. I will continue to hopefully use about this zoom level. If not this zoom level, when we're in very close to things. When we're driving, I tend to go out to about here, just so we can see things in the distance, because we're usually paying attention to something about this size. Oh, and on a completely separate note, this is version 10720. This is the most current version as of this moment, as of today, June 1st, 2020. And it's interesting. I'm currently running a character along through it that I am recording. I'm not posting them up yet. And yeah, it's taking some getting used to. There have been a number of changes. One that was just added in the most recent version, I think, is actually, if you look here, we now have blood types. There's no effects from it yet, but we do have blood types, which is, to me, fascinating. Now, what the? Centimeters. Thought I had that changed. Hang on. Pounds, liter, distance. So what do we have to use? Okay, so we use the distance as imperial, and then we get the... Because up here in Canada, we did change over to metric, but we had been using imperial for so long that most of us, even today, even when I was growing up, they were already teaching metric in school from when I was in kindergarten onward. But everybody knows pounds and feet and inches. We don't use centimeters. We don't use kilograms, except when we're looking at food, and when the doctor's talking to you. Oh, and when you're talking to the government. They're the only ones that really know anything about it. They have, and even the doctor, they have to do conversions constantly. I'm sure there's some that don't. They probably know it all off by heart by this point, but, well, I'm not one of them. I do, however, keep it in Celsius because, to me, that makes sense. I'd never learned the Fahrenheit degrees very well. Actually am married to an American, and she has to constantly tell me what temperature is freezing in Fahrenheit, for instance. And on top of that, let me see. I am using kilometers per hour because we don't use miles per hour up here for obvious reasons. So, to me, just the speed of the vehicle makes more sense in kilometers per hour. And I do want to give a shout out to Vormithrax, who made the video that helped me figure out how to change this text. I was trying to figure it out on my own. I was looking through the files, and they have it in about 3 different places. And if you change one of them, it doesn't have any effect on the game. You have to go to the correct one and make the changes there. So I'm going to actually put the link to his video that I used in this in the description of this one, just as a complete shout out to him, because his videos are great. They're very educational, very good for helping you get started in playing Cataclysm the way you want it on your computer or other device. I'm not even sure if he does other devices, but definitely on the computer. And they're definitely worth taking a look at. And so, without any further ado, this is where we're going to call this. So, have a good night, and we'll see you again here on Mindless Max's channel.